Fires and explosions can be catastrophic events. The common rules of their occurrence, on the other hand, allow a very systematic and effective way to analyze their root cause. So come with me and I will show you how. Welcome to Managing HSE with the Pro safetyBIT. Today we conduct a fire incident analysis. My name is Christoph Smalek and I provide consulting, coaching and training for HSE professionals globally, in person or virtual. And to learn more about it, just drop me a line and we can have a conversation. Also subscribe here to get weekly updates to support your HSE work. Fires and explosions have some basic things in common. You need to have combustible material, an oxidizing agent, and an effective ignition source. And when we talk about explosions, we'll also look into the proper mixture of oxidizing agent and combustible material. These factors are an easy starting point for our investigation, and I like to use one of these org chart tools, which basically comes with any office application which you have on your computer. Here we enter the three factors we need to create a fire. And the most easy one is usually the oxidizing agent, as the oxygen is available in the surrounding air. In a few situations, especially when there is a reduced oxygen level or the speed of the reaction is unusual, you might want to look into gas under pressure or peroxides. And sometimes substances which are not considered can be a source of oxygen too, like water or CO2, which decompose at high temperatures, which for example can be found in a metal fire. The second factor is the combustible material, which generally is also easy to identify, but the flammability or the reaction speed can be influenced by many factors. A liquid sprayed will behave totally different than when it's confined in an environment, and when soaked on a cloth, substances will also behave totally differently. So it's not always obvious which substance is the most relevant one in an event, especially when many substances in various states are involved. But for the majority of cases, it's relatively easy to identify. When it comes to an effective ignition source, the real work starts. Because ignition sources can come from a lot of different categories, and here are some of them. Hot surfaces, which might come from friction or machine malfunctions, and also when particles fly away during a welding task. Flames and hot gases. And this you often find when hot work is present and when the safeguarding was not sufficient, and it in the end can lead to a fire. We have mechanically generated sparks, so certain grinding work and metal pieces hitting each other, but also malfunctions can create mechanical sparks in a machine. Electrical equipment can be an ignition source too, for example by sparks and electrical arcs generated from it, and also stray currents. In many industries, static electricity leads to the ignition of combustible liquids. Proper grounding and the understanding of dealing with plastics in an explosive classified area are crucial to avoid fires by it. Lightning is another factor from the natural environment. But also electromagnetic waves, ionizing radiation and ultrasound can start an unwanted reaction. Sometimes for explosion protection you also look into adiabatic compression and shock waves. But fires can also be started as a result of an exothermic reaction and self-ignition, which can for example be found when a cloth with certain oil is disposed in an improper way. And I personally like to add, although it's covered in the things above also, arson, because arson is an intended process to start a fire and it addresses human behavior. Looking at the diagram now, you identify the one or multiple critical paths which most probably lead to the fire incident. After that, you use a 5 why methodology to find out the root cause for the unintended situations. Have a look at my previous safetyBIT to find out more on the 5 why method. And when doing this, you'll often focus on the ignition sources. But if the presence of a combustible material was a non-normal situation, or the presence of the oxidizing agent, you might want to conduct a 5 why for these branches too. So let's summarize the fire incident analysis. Use a simple org chart module of your office application. Identify combustible material, oxidizing agent, and the effective ignition source. And for each factor outside of normal operating parameters, conduct a 5 why analysis. What are your thoughts, questions and ideas? Please comment, subscribe send me a message or just give me a call. More on prorisk.com/HSCCT. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.